Hey everyone, Token Dave over here, dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by. Welcome to another edition of the Token 5. This Token 5 is in conjunction with Jack Ryan January. In anticipation of the new Amazon Prime series, Jack Ryan, that should be released sometime in March, I'm taking it upon myself to review all the Jack Ryan movies that have been made up until this point. Well, I was going over the reviews that I've done for the entire series, and I'm not sure if I actually made it clear how each of these movies rank, particularly with how I rated basically Hunt for October and Clear and Present Danger, and as well as how I rated Patriot Games and the Sum of All Fears. So, with all that said, basically, I am actually going to give you my definitive list of how I rank each of the Jack Ryan movies, alright? Before I do so, there are some caveats I need to address right away. Number one, spoiler warning. I will be spoiling things from each of these movies. So if you have not seen any of the Jack Ryan movies, please stop this video right now, okay? Number two, I am not just only basing it on how well the movie was, I am also taking into account of how well the movie was adapted into from the source material. So, basically how well the adaptation was mixed with how well the movie was. This is how I am actually ranking each of these movies based on my personal opinion. All right? So, let's start this party off with number 5, Patriot Games. The bottom of the list, basically, Patriot Games was actually like one of the easiest novels to adapt into a movie, and also like this particular novel was actually a pretty quick and easier read, one of the easiest reads of Tom Clancy, and the movie itself missed a lot of beats from the novel. The movie itself is not bad. Actually, I loved it as it initially was released, but over time it waned, and it got worse and worse upon each reviewing. While I do love the chemistry between, Harrison Ford and Anne Archer, and I love how, basically they made Jack Ryan's family the forefront, which it was in the novel, basically, there are a lot of things that, actually missed, we didn't have that mentor-mentee relationship from Admiral Greer to Jack Ryan. They made Jack a little too old for this particular movie and this particular story, because this was actually Jack Ryan's first adventure, And to top it off, basically, they did not do a good job explaining, the IRA's anger and hatred towards the British, So basically, that motivational factor was missing. The best part about Patriot Games is the fact that this movie, of all the Jack Ryan movies, had the best villain in Sean Miller, portrayed by Sean Bean. Sean Bean was just completely awesome in this movie, and that's the one change from the novel to the movie that was actually an improvement, because they actually gave Sean Miller a personal reason to hate Ryan, So, yeah, this was the one that I liked the least out of them all. But I'll give it, like I said, watching Harrison Ford and Anne Archer together is awesome, and as well as watching Sean Bean playing Sean Miller, great. Number 4, Sum of All Fears. This is the one that everyone seems to universally pan, and to be honest, I can see why. After multiple viewings, though, I liked it even a lot more. Now, it does drastically veer from the source material for various reasons. However, I gave this a pass because they were rebooting the franchise, and while I think this was the wrong story to reboot the franchise, I do like the fact that they actually casted Ben Affleck as Jack Ryan, because if we're talking about a very green Jack Ryan, someone in the early days as a CIA analyst or in the early days of his, adventures, Ben Affleck hit it out of the park. So as a very young Jack Ryan, great choice. And to be honest, I personally feel basically if they continued the series more so, he would have actually ended up being probably the second best person to play Jack Ryan in all honesty. Morgan Freeman as William Cabot, drastic change from the character from the novel to the movie, but that was actually an improvement. That's actually one of the few improvements that this movie made as an adaptation. The action sequences themselves, while not as great, are actually really good. And to top it off, basically, this one has the most stakes. And when the bomb goes off in Baltimore, in that Baltimore stadium, and everything's a panic, this is where the movie really, really picks up. And basically, it is great seeing basically how, Jack Ryan, he's actually the one person that basically is able to see everything, but, people don't believe him because, basically, it comes off that, he is actually a sympathizer for someone that's a authoritarian, where in all actuality, he has a deeper meaning that, an understanding that no one has, not even the president does, Oh, and one other thing, I will say that Levi Schreiber was good as John Clark. This is the John Clark that I would have seen in Without Remorse. But basically, that being said, I can see why this movie did have a lot of problems, and I can see why a lot of people didn't like it. But still, not as bad as everyone says it is. Number 3, Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit. Okay, this is the enigma for me. While I understand that this was released in January, and January is usually the month where bad movies are released, this one was really damn good. Chris Pine as Jack Ryan, a whole reboot of the franchise, and this was perfect. This story was actually not from any of the novels, but they did cherry pick a lot of things, great aspects from almost all the novels to reboot the franchise. And basically, as a movie on its own, this is actually really good. And this didn't do anything to set up anything for the future, which is something that most movies nowadays made in the 2010s and everything, they do. They want to create a franchise, and always the first movie can never stand on its own. You have to have it in a series, and you have to have the second movie to actually gauge how well the first movie stands out. My biggest beef with this movie is Keira Knightley as Kathy Muller. Oh my good God, she's just a damsel in distress, and basically, I can't trust Drac because he's cheating on me. All the signs point to that. It's like, lady, you're a doctor. You're living in Lower Manhattan. Seriously. You don't have that much to worry about. You can find another guy, and, while she's not my cup of tea, Keira Knightley, hey, they get a much better looking guy than Jack Ryan and Chris Pine. Chris Pine's a good looking guy, but you can get a much better looking guy. Okay? So, yeah. Other than that, basically, great cast, great budget. My second favorite villain of all time, portrayed by Kenneth Branagh, whom is always awesome, So, this is a solid movie and a solid entry. I'm surprised that they didn't continue a movie series over this, Number 2, Clear and Present Danger. Oh my God, I love this movie. Now, despite my issues of Harrison Ford being Jack Ryan, I gotta say that basically his performance in this actually is his best Jack Ryan performance actually, and to be honest, the novel itself was really tough to get through. It was close to 200 pages for me to really actually see what's going on and really get more invested in things. And, that's a little too long for me personally. But it made up for it at the very end, and basically That's what this movie does. It really takes from the very beginning and the very end and basically does a masterful job with it. And a lot of the changes that were made were drastic improvements. The one change that I actually didn't like is them killing off Myra in this movie, because Myra is actually a very central and important part to identify Felix Cortez as a double agent for the United States. But basically, you see the president is corrupt in this. You see the political brinksmanship. You see the conspiracy being unfolded. Bob Ritter in this is actually awesome. And while not to take anything away from the actor that played Bob Ritter, because he was good in this, but it's just that basically Kenneth Branagh and Sean Bean were better villains. But all in all, this is actually the one movie where I could say that watching this movie is better than reading the book. Number one, Hunt for Red October. Need I say more? The best Jack Ryan, the best Rear Admiral Greer. Great choice in casting Sean Connery as Marcos Ramius. Scott Glenn as Captain Manchu, whom you actually see in later novels, which I wish they didn't. They didn't just do a one-shot character. All of the supporting characters from the novel that are actually in this movie are not wasted. Something that the other movies did. They wasted the supporting characters. Not in this one. Everyone was effectively used to their fullest potential. So basically, with the helm of John McIntyre, the same person that actually did, John McTiernan, sorry, not McIntyre, John McTiernan, the same director that gave us Die Hard and Predator, no wonder why Hunt for October is my favorite of all the Jack Ryan movies adapted. Do you guys agree? Do you guys disagree? Drop me a comment below. Give me your Jack Ryan movie rankings. Subscribe. Ring that bell so you know when a new video loads. And spread this video out. But until then, this has been Token Dave, a dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by. I'll catch all of you later.